I don't even know what's real anymore. Not gonna lie, what I'm about to tell you, it nearly had me there. It really did. What I'm talking about is something concerning the Dragon Ball Super manga, and as we know, there are lots of things about the manga currently which aren't exactly great. You can check out my video here, by the way, if you want the lowdown about why we think it's not really at its optimal stage right now. The main course of today's video is something that came about to me when a friend of mine tipped me off about something, and I was like, ooh, give me the tea about this one. It's coffee, by the way. Not really much of a tea person, surprisingly. So naturally, I hopped onto Twitter to try and figure out what was going on. And then I saw Toriyama was trending, and I was thinking, oh no, have we lost him too? But then I actually delved deep into the timeline, and you start to see this, like, Toriyama is out, Monkey is in. What? Super Saiyan. What? Okay. Then we get this, which is admittedly pretty funny because it's actually kind of true. Then a little thing from Dragon Ball Tale, which is an awesome animation, by the way. Very, very much recommend it. But you look up through all these particular things and you start to see a pattern. That in itself is admittedly kind of true too, because Toyotaro likes to borrow a lot from Marvel, if you've not noticed. And the general gist of it comes about with this particular thing. This is the source of all the hubbub. A interview that Toyotaro gave a particular magazine, it's implied that it might be V-Jump, about the future of the Dragon Ball Super manga, and that Toriyama might be retiring. Folks, that ain't true. It's all fake. So this little ditty is the actual article in question, which got the internet, and mostly Twitter, ablaze. And on first glance, I must admit, when I saw this, it looked relatively convincing. It's got the Super logo, it's got Toyotaro's logo on it, that's his little insignia, because Toriyama has the gas mask thing on there, and Toyotaro's got his thing. It looks relatively clean, it looks pretty slick. But when you actually start to delve deep into it, there are some little glitches here or there. I mean, the Dragon Ball Super logo looks a little bit odd, the glows are a little bit too, inconsistent, the colors are not really matching. There are some little flaws in here, but let me show you the actual translation. I mean, granted, this translation isn't just going to be as good as Herm's for a start, but anyway, this is interview with manga Toyotaro, so this is an interview with Toyotaro. This is a little sneak peek for something that might be coming later, a bigger one. We would like to inform you that the next work of Dragon Ball Super has already been decided, because admittedly, yes, the Granolah Survivor arc is actually coming to an end very soon. I've been blessed by Dr. Toriyama many times and been in charge of the story, but this time I'll work with Yoshitaka Nagayama, who is also known as manga artist of Super Dragon Ball Heroes. That bit is true. He's been working on Ultra God Mission and working on the former Supreme Kai of Time EOS or IOS. That bit is actually really cool. I was actually genuinely excited when I saw this. But what does this actually imply? Because he's saying that Mr. Yoshito has a story that will surprise many fans, so please look forward to the next adventure. The next villain is also scary. Smiles implies. But what this also implies is that Toriyama is retiring and is essentially allowing Toyotaro to do what he wants right now. And that got people really surprised, but also kind of excited in a way. Maybe because the manga has been very much shown up by Superhero for a start. I know that Superhero isn't doing very well in the box office for a start, but the story itself is actually trying to give people what they want in terms of other characters doing stuff, and Piccolo and Gohan finally getting to actually eat at the big boy table now with the Saiyans and Broly. The actual article itself looked relatively convincing, and there is talks about the next arc coming along, and there was a little ditty at I think a Jump festival today that Victory Uchida, I think that's the spokesperson for the Dragon Ball Super thing on the main website, they were actually be talking, so it came out at a relatively similar time. People were on tenterhooks, and this came out at that particular time, so people just took it as read that this was going to be it. It wasn't. It's fake. It's definitely fake. I mean, yeah, come on. I know that Toriyama really isn't giving much input to the franchise anymore. He's just giving, like, bullet points and stuff. But admittedly, he is actually jazzed for all the stuff that he did in the movie for Superhero. He wrote that script. He wrote the script relatively for Broly. I mean, yeah, he is jazzed and excited to be working on the franchise. So this actually, when you start to boil it down, is a little bit odd. This doesn't add up. I mean, Toriyama started with the manga. Why would he give it up? Especially when he doesn't actually have to draw the thing. But on first glance, I can understand why people fell for it. I almost fell for it. I had to do a little bit more digging to find out that, no, it's actually not real. But what if it were? I was actually sort of convinced because I had heard the name of Yoshitaka Nagayama before, because this is not just a random name of a random manga artist, no. He's working with Shueisha in Psycho Jump to provide the manga tie-in to Ultra God Mission of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, introducing the Super Space Time tournament with the character of Ios. And if you can get a hold of it, or actually just watch the promotional anime, this story is actually really cool. In the manga at the very least, Yamcha gets to do stuff. He actually is very charming, much how he was relatively charming to Perfect Cell in the actual anime. But the point of this is that Nagayama was a person that I had heard of, and him working with Toyotaro sort of made sense. So, okay, so they're doing that, they're writing a story together, because Nagayama's story is actually relatively good. I mean, for Super Dragon Ball Hero standards. I mean, the artwork in this manga is a little ropey at times, so I'm kind of glad that Toyotaro would be doing the artwork. He is improving in that regard. So Nagayama and Toyotaro, that would have been a decent team. So it sort of made me think, hang on, this could actually be a thing. But the question is though, why would Shueisha do something that boneheaded? If Toriyama just said one day like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'm not even going to give people bullet points anymore. I'm going to take my money, I'm going to take my green tracksuit, and I'm going to go and retire properly. Bye, folks. No one's going to take Dragon Ball legitimately anymore. They're just going to say, oh, it's non-canon. Oh, the manga's non-canon anymore. I'm not going to read the manga. Manga sales would plummet if Toriyama was not attached to the property. The idea of canon is very much important. And it doesn't help that Akio Yoku, who is basically Toriyama's spokesperson, has said that, oh, the anime and manga, they're their own things now. We can take things from the manga and put in the anime, we don't have to, it's entirely optional. Because they do know that there is a manga and an anime audience attached to it. So if Toriyama were to just up sticks and just go, okay, I'm not going to work on the manga anymore, I'm just going to let Toyotaro do that. He's done the time, he's shown that he can do it. If he can do it after 7 years, just make the manga releases at least twice a month instead of monthly. Yeah, the only reason that Toriyama is being attached to the manga still is that his name sells, and his name does carry a lot of weight. A lot of videos where I talk about Toriyama, they get a lot more views because people want to know the original artist and creator of the franchise's opinions about stuff. And if he was attached to the manga, even if he's just providing bullet points, it provides some legitimacy to the overall product. If Toyotaro was just told, okay, it's yours now, you can do what you want, there'll be a lot of people that will just go like, they'll just wash their hands of the entire thing and not give a toss about the manga because Toriyama is not associated to it. I know that one day it will happen because Toriyama will become too elderly to write, or he may just pass away naturally. It's going to happen, folks, that eventually there will be a time that people won't really care about Dragon Ball anymore because Toriyama didn't have anything to do with it because he's not around anymore. And despite Toyotaro's sort of Padawan period with the guy, I don't think that's going to be enough. If Toriyama was just gone, if he chose to retire and just work on the anime, people are just going to only care about the anime. Seriously. But going back to what I was just saying again, if Toyotaro was put in charge of the entire thing, what would he actually do? Would he actually take the story in a better direction? Or would he basically just copy what he did in AF? Because one of the things that I saw in the thread for a start is like, okay, Toyotaro's been given carte blanche to do what he wants, I'll put in Super Saiyan 5 like he did in the AF manga. As much as I would like to see it, and it would get a lot of people's attention, I don't think Toyotaro should be really leaning into stuff that he did in the past when he was much younger. Surely he would have learnt better by now. A more realistic thing that he probably would do is he would attach the Shadow Dragons in some point, because we know he absolutely adores the Shadow Dragons plot from GT. And to find a way of actually bringing in dragons, like a Shadow Dragon saga for Super, that would be a lot more compelling, talking more about the actual Dragon Balls, because one of the big plus points of the Granolah Survivor arc is that it actually made the Dragon Balls sort of relevant, and also that there were more sets than just the Namekian one and the Earth one. That was kind of cool. I mean, granted, that set's completely broken, but if the set's completely gone by the end of the saga and Monaito, bites it, then fine, it's gone. It's not going to pose a threat anymore. That's fair enough. So realistically, if that were to have happened, Toyotaro probably would have done something with Shadow Dragons, and Gohan would have been probably the main lead because he really, really likes Gohan. He also kind of likes Piccolo too. So he might have actually gotten the superhero story relatively in the manga. That's kind of accurate. But the reactions that I saw on Twitter just made me think people were kind of willing Toriyama to leave. What does that say? That kind of just throws my argument into a complete loop. People are ready for Toriyama to quit. If Toriyama just up sticks and left, people are sort of okay about it. Oof, that's kind of an eye-opener, really. I mean, it doesn't really help when you get people like this just going, Toriyama gone, finally Toyotaro can cook, bring them all together. So essentially, you get all the forms right here. Just throw every single transformation into the bucket and see what happens. It would sort of cheapen the experience of Dragon Ball. I imagine that if Toyotaro was just given the green light to just throw in whatever transformation he could think of, he'll just provide loads of different transformations and it would just turn into an edgy fan manga, seriously. And I'm not sure whether I would want the official manga to be edgy, because that's not the point of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball, first and foremost, is an action comedy. It's meant to be a place where you can have a laugh and it's lighthearted, but when it does do its action, it does it well. But it can at least poke fun at itself every now and again. It's a Toriyama property. Toriyama made his money through toilet humor and immature jokes. Honestly, he didn't have to make Dragon Ball. He could have just quit and retired when he was in his 30s after making Dr. Slump. He gave up a really lucrative manga to throw all his money into Dragon Ball, and luckily, it was even better. But now that people are actually sort of contemplating Toriyama quitting, I don't know where the fandom is right now, seriously. This is just throwing me for a loop completely. What Superheroes told me is that it doesn't really help that the medium was already divisive amongst the fandom, but also the plot. People say they want other characters to do stuff, but then the money talks. And the money is talking, no, people don't care about that, just give all the transformations and stuff. And yes, that is a main element of a lot of the modern fandom, but it's sort of Dragon Ball losing its soul in a way. What made it actually popular in the first place? But granted, I know a lot of people out there saying, well, if it weren't for the actual tournament arcs of the original Dragon Ball story, it probably would have been cancelled, the manga, back in the 80s, and that admittedly is true. But even then, the humor and charm of Dragon Ball still remained. I guess that's the balancing act we've all got to do with Dragon Ball going forward. So, alas, it's a very, very difficult time to be in the Dragon Room. I wouldn't want to be part of it, honestly. I mean, how do you please the fandom? I don't get it. Please tell me. How do you do it? But anyway, folks, this is all I've got to say about the matter. Put simply, this article is fake, although the reaction to it was legit and not entirely dismissive, which was kind of weird. I don't know. The whole thing is absolutely surreal. Anyway, folks, let me know what you think about this in the comments, and let me know whether you were actually thrown for a loop when you first saw this, or whether this is the first time you'd even seen this, and I provided you a service. If you want to find out why I think the manga might not be in the best of times right now, check out this video here, and I shall see you over there.